name's Lance and welcome to Bundy Bears Shed. Well, it's a week between Christmas and New Year. It's Tuesday this morning and we've had a few little days up in the shed here having a play, and something I really look forward to doing. I haven't done any filming, but we're getting on to that today. I've done a little bit on the John Deere 420 high crop. There was an alternator bracket that I had to make, and it took me quite a little while to get a nice, neat, compact bracket. I bought a aftermarket bracket that I thought, oh well, that won't look too bad, but it was rubbish. I packed it back in the box. It's no good. But anyway, to get the belts to line up perfectly in line with in line with the drive pulley on the alternator. A steel ruler will fit in behind the pulley and the fan on front of the alternator, and then you can just do the radius through and make sure you're true. So I made a little bracket. I had to set it up in the milling machine to get it back far enough, as it needs to be a stepped bracket on the front mount just to get that sitting true. So there was a little bit of turning in it, a bit of welding. I had to mill one face off it to get it back properly, but I didn't do any filming of that because yesterday we had showers, and in Bundy Bears Shed here, a big old tin shed, well, you've only got to have a bit of a sprinkle on the roof and it sounds like a bloody thunderstorm. Yeah, the rain on the roof gets very loud, so there wouldn't have been any sound quality in it at all. So anyway, I soldiered on with that. I had the camera there, but I just thought, well, yeah, it just wasn't, well, it wouldn't have come out very good. But I'll go over for a bit of a walk shortly, and I'll just show you what I've done, just to report in. And on the John Deere 420, I got a birth certificate for it the other day, which is as a member of the John Deere Twin Cylinder Tractor Club in America. There's a service that they offer, and on certain model tractors you can apply for what we call a birth certificate, and that tells us things like the date that it was manufactured, what it had on it, 750 16 front tyres, 11.2 38 rear tyres, dual hydraulics and headlights or something like that. So a day or two before Christmas we actually got the birth certificate for the John Deere 420 high crop, and we also got a birth certificate for the John Deere MC crawler. It's been a long-term project, that one, but it's interesting to have, and I'll try and sneak in a photograph of that just so you can see what it looks like, and it's something good to have. I'll put a frame around it and put it in my office wall, my home office wall, where I keep my tractor knickknacks. And but I think what I'll do is, for when I take the tractor to shows and show it, I'll go to the sign writer and see if he can scan it for me and put it on a 2 foot by 4 foot A-frame and do a copy of the birth certificate so people can see the year it come out and all that on an official looking document. So I'll have to talk to the sign writer about that in the new year, but I know they can scan well, and they can scan it looks like an A4 or an American letter size sheet, and I know they can scan that in high resolution and bring out a nice copy of it quite a bit larger. So we'll look at that in the new year. But yeah, I'm not working, or we have closed the shop between Christmas and New Year. This is the only holiday we have through the year, which is about 10 days a year. And sometimes, depending on how the days fall, we can end up with 15, 16 days. But yeah, this year it's 10, so that's okay. Yeah, we decided to go in the week before Christmas, which often we were shut, and I'm glad we did. Business hasn't been really flat out. It certainly has been a lot better in the past, but the week before Christmas and the week before that, we had cracker week, so they were just beauties. And certainly glad that we bothered to take the time and go in and do it. And we also have a Queensland tractorspares.com.au website well, while we're on a break, it's been ticking over, making a few bob. And our eBay store in Australia, Queensland Tractor Spares, it's been ticking over too. So probably tomorrow, maybe Thursday, we'll have to go in and just do a morning wrapping parts to send to people and all that. So yeah, just do the paperwork, print out the tax invoices for people and send parts to wherever they've been bought. So we'll have to go in a day and do that, but that's fine. Yeah, that's part of owning your own show. Yeah, you never really get to forget about it. If you have a good business, you need to work on it. You don't just have a business that just runs itself and you put no effort in and you end up bloody rich. It just doesn't work like that. Yeah, the success of your business is often has a direct relation to the amount of effort or work you put in. So yeah, we'll have a bit of a break for 10 days, but yeah, one morning probably we'll have to go and line up. But last Kangaroo Stew I showed you this fella, and that's a pipe bender, and just for the small pipes on the John Deere. But I said there was another one coming. Well, it showed up, and here it is here. Isn't that a dainty little thing? But there's a couple of pipes that we need to make, and I will film that. There's a line that takes oil. It actually sits this way. It takes oil from the block and puts it up into the cylinder head on the little Johnny, and that gives a rocker shaft oil. So I have some of this Bundy tube that I've spoken of earlier. It's it looks like a copper outer on a steel frame, and for the real light stuff, that's what I got this little pipe bender for. But this is about the middle size it will do. But yeah, but it does put a nice little bend in, and there you go. There's one I prepared earlier, about 2 seconds earlier. But yeah, it's a nice bend. It's not flattened out at all. You just take it steady. You go by feel. So look, if I was a bit cleverer, I would have made that the right length instead of just showing you and chopping this piece off. But anyway, I must have good days and bad days, a bit doughy in the brain box. But anyway, that's good. And I also snoop around on eBay from time to time looking for goodies, things that I haven't got, or a better thing that I have got that's a bit better quality or something like that. But I have an internal micrometer set, but I picked this up off eBay. It's up to 12 inch, it's a Starrett, and it's in used condition. You can see it's been a used tool. The fella I bought it off on eBay, after I bought it, he rang up and he said, "Oh look," he says, I just want to make sure that you know it's an Imperial set." And I said, "Yeah, I'm happy with that, I knew that." And he says, "I've had it at home there and I can't read bloody Imperial." He said, I just like metric ones. So he said, "This is one of my dad's tools, and because I couldn't read it, I've decided to sell it." So, and funny enough, no one was interested in it, and I ended up getting it for $40. So, which is that's a steal. The box is a bit marked up and that, but look, that just doesn't matter to me. The tool inside's certainly usable, and I'll check it later and make sure it's accurate. If you measure one bore and you're turning something out to the exact same size, it doesn't matter if it is exactly accurate, as long as you measure both items with the same tool and you know, you transfer it from one to the other. But if you're measuring a bore on a tractor for being oval, out around, through wear, well, it certainly is important to have it accurate. So no use having measuring tools if they're not accurate. So I'll do a bit of a test later. We'll mic it all up, and there is adjustments so you can zero it out properly and things like that. So I'll have a look at that when I get time. But at the moment, I'm enjoying playing with my John Deere, my little 420 high crop that I'm restoring, and yeah, that's the main focus of my holiday so far. I had a Crosley K engine, and I bought it quite a number of years ago with the plans of restoring it, and I'd got parts recast for it and things like that. So anyway, a fella, Brad, got on to me, rang me from Victoria and asked me would I like to sell it, as I had a couple of pictures on my Facebook page. And I said, yeah, okay. So there was another fella looking at it, and he wanted to swap another engine, which I said, yeah, I was happy with that, but he was going through another mate sort of thing, so a bit of a circle. And but anyway, I hadn't heard from him for quite a number of weeks, so this other fella come up with an offer, so I sold it to him. And I got good money, I believe I got good money, and he drove up from Gippsland in Victoria, which, if you have a look at Australia up the east coast, you've got the pointy bit, come down halfway, a bit more than halfway down, you'll see a island sticking out. It's like a U shape, that's Wide Bay, and that's Fraser Island. Well, Bundaberg is about level with the top of Fraser Island. If you do a line right across, we're about there. And if you go right down to the bottom of Australia, there's a little island on the bottom, Tassie, Tasmania. Well, Gippsland is sort of a fair way down into Victoria. So he used his Christmas break to drive from Victoria up to Bundaberg to pick the engine up. And anyway, I thought I did well out of it, and he was pleased to get the engine, and he offered a price, and I actually told him I thought it was too much. I took a little bit off it because there was a few bits that weren't there that still had to be made. So in my eyes, that's a good deal. If he walks away happy and I walk away happy, that's a good deal. So, but yeah, he put a lot of effort into getting this engine, and he's going to do it up and keep me informed, show me some photos of it when it's done. But yeah, they drove all day one day. They stayed a night in a motel. They drove all yesterday and got here early to mid-afternoon. And we had a chat for a couple of hours and loaded the engine up and made sure everyone was happy, and they turned around and they were heading straight back to Victoria. So yeah, big effort people put into their hobby, and they'll end up with some nice things. And yeah, the effort they put in to go and get them travel halfway across the country to pick up an engine that doesn't go, it's in pieces, and yeah, it's going to be rewarding for them when they do actually get it going. So that was a good thing. That was an enjoyable little chat yesterday with Brad, and his mum and dad and his son come for a drive. Yeah, so met some new people that we've spoken to on the internet and on Facebook and things, but yeah, it was nice to actually have a chat with them and catch up. But he bought me a couple of parts. I collect International Harvester engines, and I have quite a number of international famous non-Pirelli vertical engines. I've got about 8 of them, and apparently they're hard to find. And I actually searched for years before I could find one, and then all of a sudden they just kept falling in my lap, so I just kept buying them. So, but anyway, he just gave me a couple of parts. That's a water pump bracket. That's off I believe that's off a non-Pirelli. It has a part number. All the International Harvester engine parts have a part number, and we have a parts reference, and we can look at it. But the interesting part is this fella here. Now that's a side case of a vertical International famous, and this is a real early side case, because the later cases they had this, and then on the side of it up here they had a bracket coming out sort of like that for the water pump. So this is a very, very early early side cover, and it's for the engines before they had water pumps. It was just thermosiphon. So yeah, that was nice of him to bring that up and give it to me. I'll have a look and see what we get up to with that one. I have spare engines that I haven't got to yet. The 3 horsepower non-Pirellis. I've one nice one done up for show, which I have. I think on my YouTube channel here I have a little video of it. It's a blue one with the gold flywheels, and yeah, I've got 2 other ones that I haven't even started yet. They're just sitting. One's probably beyond getting going. It's a parts engine only, a bit of an old heap, but yeah, and bits have been broken and welded and all that, but you still need those old engines to find little bits and pieces, and even if the parts aren't usable, sometimes you can copy them, but yeah, that was a good little find. Yeah, I was pleased. I haven't seen them with this gauze in here, but I don't know if that's original or not. I'm probably thinking it's not, but I may well be wrong. But and we got Judy's chair finished. It come up lovely. Pardon me, I'll try and put a couple of photos in of the finished chair, and I've done a back bracket for it as well, and I've got it out in the rain because the stuff we use to make the old rusty iron come up and shine and seal it is this stuff here. X-Troll Rust Conqueror, and this is just great stuff. I've sealed under all my vehicles, the ones that I go fishing with up the beach. I've sealed under it with them, and if you have a little bit of surface rust, it actually etches into the surface rust. And in the instruction it says don't buff and sand clean, shiny clean. If you do have a nice sanded surface, put it out in the weather for a couple of days and get that bit of surface rust, and this stuff etches into it. So all the cast iron work and the welding and the wheels and all that have this X-Troll Rust Conqueror on it, and it's nice. It's come up really good. But I do have a couple of photos of the seat, and I'll put them into a little bit of a slideshow, just so you can see where it's at and all that sort of thing. Well, I think I actually tacked that onto the last Kangaroo Stew, but I had a stand under it, like a vehicle support stand, safety stand under it, and I've since made a proper little, I rolled up a circle and made a proper little stand, so I'll have to get that up and put it on. I've got to paint it with X-Troll yet. I've just had it out rusting, letting it sort of get to look the same as the rest. But anyway, look, we'll get on with the day, go and have a play, and when I make these pipes up, I'll film that, and I'll take the camera for a little walk over and show you the alternator bracket we made. It works very well. There's a little headlight bracket sticking out the side, looks like a crank handle, and yeah, I've made it so the adjustment can come out under that, and it still sits down under the bonnet, so it's not a stick-on. It doesn't obviously look like an add-on thing, because originally they had a generator. It was a 6-volt system with a generator, and we're making it 12-volt with an alternator, because this tractor is one that we'd like to do a few street parades and drive around town a bit, with a flashing light, and park it out in front of the shop and do things like that. So an alternator is just a better option, even though it's not original. Most people won't know, and it's more functional for what we decided to do with the tractor. So anyway, I'll take you over and we'll have a bit of a look at that, and yeah, we'll see what else we get up to. And it's come up quite nice. In through here, I had to mill that narrower, or mill that down a little bit, just so that it could all fit in. Then we had to make a spacer up for in here, just to get it back properly. And that's this here is a little, this whole thing here is a headlight bracket, and we made this bracket here up, the alternator adjusting bracket, and we got it kinked back, working off the water pump, and when it comes down, when we need to adjust it, it actually slides under here. We can come through the full range of adjustment on the slide there, and it comes in under that screw by 3mm. So that's a nice neat fit. The it tucks in close to the side of the engine there, and when I put this bar here, that's where the bonnet comes down, and so it's still tucked under the bonnet, no worries at all. And then when we come around to the front and you line up the bonnet, it doesn't stick way out, so it does look like it's meant to be there. And yeah, it's a good thing. All this lines up nicely inside. So anyway, that's one job done. The other job that I was having trouble getting to, it was this tie rod end here. And the other one over here I'd had done for some time, but this one here, for some reason, the reason was old age, all this was rusted inside. So I have new tie rod ends there I've put on it, but boy, that took some getting out, and I had to run up and hit it with the hammer, you know, up and down, peen it a bit. So anyway, that's come up okay now. We've got all that fitted and sitting up in there with temporary rubbers here. And we'll paint it with the temporary rubbers on, then the rubbers will come off, and we'll put the original ones on, or the new originals. And the wheel bearings, we've done both sides of the hubs with wheel bearings now. They're sitting on the machine, and yeah, they look okay. I need to put a grease nipple on the right hand side. This one has one, and we got new radiator caps, new air cleaner, pre-cleaner bowls. There's a new fuel cap there, and a nice shiny stainless steel muffler. Now they didn't have stainless steel mufflers, of course, they had black ones. But as this is a bit of a display tractor for the business, we thought we'd probably do it. We've got both mufflers here. Whichever one I don't use on the tractor here, we're going to put on the dozer. So that'll be okay. But the little oil line that we need to bend up takes oil from here up to the cylinder head up to here. And before we paint it, we have to get all that done. So anyway, we'll head off. We'll sneak around to the bench. I'll set it all up and we'll make this little pipe. We'll start off by doing at least is I'll try and keep it all in the frame. As when I was having a chat before and I wasn't paying attention, I put this little bend in here. We'll use the pipe bender or the pipe cutter. It's off a flaring tool. And we'll run around and cut him off. This leaves a nice finish. There's no burr there at all. So what I'll try and do, just for the sake of the video, if I can set this up in the vise. I'll try and come around and look right down on it if we can. And hopefully you'll be able to see there what's happening. Now this bend here is the one we're going to try and do first. Now the anvil on here, that's to give you something to pull against as the puller comes, as the bender comes down. Now what I usually do is leave this end longer than it needs to be, because we can always trim that to length later and make it fit perfectly. And another thing I like to do is sit the pipe that we're copying, try and sit it on it so we can actually work out how far we need to go. So it's quite easy to do. It does a good fold, or a good bend I should say. And if we just keep that going, that's going very easy. And what we're looking for is when this is lined up here, this and this here are dead in line. So I need to go just a look, that's pretty good there, because there's another very slight bend here. So if we do this piece here, we take note of this here and that there, that's dead true. So that's a nice little bend. Now this bend here just has a slight one there. I'll try and come out a little bit. There's a slight little kink there, you can just see it just there. And that one there will just go like that for. Pretty high tech really, isn't it? Now we have that one there, so now it's time to flip him over. Use the other end. Now this is at 90 degrees. So that's... Now this next bend we have to make sure is in the right place. So the centre of the curve here needs to be right on. Actually come this way just a little bit. That looks pretty good. When you put the two together, that's pretty close, isn't it? So anyway, that's the little pipe bender working. So what we'll do, I'll have new olives from the end here. So I'll cut this old pipe now. I'll take these nuts, we're going to reuse these brass nuts and put some new olives down here, and that'll be another little bit of the John Deere done. Well, there you go. There's the two pipes. They're just about bang on the same. So now I know that's right, I'm happy to cut this and yeah, we'll put the new ferrules and that on and use the old nuts. The old crow in the background, he got something to talk about today. Yeah, one over one side of the paddock and one over the other, and they're having a chat like a couple of old women over the fence, I reckon. But anyway, they're having a bit of a chat. That's what I like about living in the bush. You can get to hear all that sort of stuff. Anyway, that pipe's nice. I'll cut this now and we'll clean these nuts up and give them a polish and get them ready for painting. Now you'll notice on the old pipe, these are the olives or the ferrules, and they get pushed into the fitting and the nut comes up in behind here. But the new ferrules nowadays, most of them look like this. They have a tape at both ends, and the fitting, instead of being flat on the end like that is, it's got a flat surface right on the tip here, and the flat surface pushes up against the old ferrule and pushes it in tight. But the later nuts, they actually have a taper up in the nut. Where this nut sits here, it actually has a taper down in here. So we have the option of either putting a taper down in here or making the olive suit. So what I've chosen to do is keep the nuts original, and I reckon we'll just run a file across the top here. And yeah, we'll file them so they have a flat surface. And what I've done is put a piece of tubing in the vise, brought it down so far to support the olive, and the olive just sits down over the tube. So I'm hoping that supports it enough to have a good file, so we can file the top until it's flat or almost flat. There's enough surface area that the nut will want to sit on it and push it down into the fitting and keep going. So I'll just sneak off and get a file. This is a file off the lathe, so it's a pretty bashed up looking thing. But anyway, we'll... Okay, I think that there looks good enough. I'll do the other one, then we'll assemble it. Got the camera where we can see both fittings. It's a bit of a jiggle, but this is the bottom one, and that's the top one on the other side of this bracket here. And we have the pipes, we have the ferrules with the flat surface on them now, so that should go okay. I've cleaned all the holes out, I've blown them out, cleaned them out with a bit of ether, and yeah, look, that sits there nicely. So what we do now, we push them in right in as deep as the pipe will go. And we always start the nuts by hand. Now, the reason we always start them by hand is that you can feel that they're not cross-threaded. I don't care how strong you are, you're not going to cross-thread a bolt and do damage with your fingers. And this is a little flare nut spanner, and they go over the nuts, and it gives you full support. So once you're sure that it started okay, hold a little bit of downward pressure. Just so that when the nut pushes that ferrule against the taper in this fitting here, it will make the taper conform to the pipe, and if we undo it again, it won't come out. They're only brass threads, they've got to be tight but not overdone. Now I should not be able to move that pipe at that fitting, so that's nice and tight. So we'll try the top one, push it in as far as it will go. Now there's no movement at either end of that pipe. I might just give it a little bit of a push like that, and that lines it up nicely. Okay, that's one job done. It's a job that we've been, well, we waited for the pipe benders, didn't we? We had to wait a little while. But anyway, now that's done. That means right back to here, which is the bell housing, is completed. There's a couple of big holes down the bottom. Holes like this where the implement mounts, and there's some more back here. And we have the bolts for them, so we'll tidy up the bolts and put them in. Put a bit of never-sees on them, so if we need to get them out we'll be okay. And yeah, we'll just tidy them up and fill the gaps, and that saves any rubbish getting in the holes. These front ones, I may well later on put an eye in there for tying the tractor down to the trailer so we can pull backwards. But anyway, we'll put the bolts in first and then we'll work it all from there.